Thank you. So welcome everybody to today's session of our CCOF Fireside Chat. We have a very unique topic today. It's called self-managed teams. And I think it's probably unique to India as well. And we hope to have a great session. My name is Renal and I'm part of Freshworks. And we're very happy to partner with CCOF, which is a unique forum that brings customer experience professionals like yourselves onto a platform where we can be informed and inspired. Let me quickly welcome our guests for today. Damien, as we all know, Damien Kirk is the Director of Residential at E.ON UK and has a vast experience of 25 years in strategic. He's very passionate about customer experience and customer service, and is proficient in exploring innovating customer service strategies and always believes in putting customer experience at the heart of the business and focusing on people's mindsets and behaviors. With his experience of nearly 2 decades at a multifaceted experience at E.ON, spanning IT infrastructure, operations, B2B operations, and customer services, today he's going to take us through this very interesting topic. Let me also quickly welcome our moderator for the day, MD, as he's popularly known as. He's an industry veteran and he's a pioneer in the contact center industry today and one of the first managing directors of Dell in India. And he brings in the same passion of customer experience as with everybody, right? Let me quickly go over the Zoom details for you. So while you are all comfortable with the platform, I'm sure, but we have an interesting thing here where you can possibly ask questions. Please do raise your hands and we'll quickly unmute you and you could ask the question to either MD or Damien yourself. You could also key in the question in the chat bar or in the Q&A bar, and we'd be happy to pick it up. Right. With that, over to you, MD.
Yeah, thank you, Renil, for that introduction. Damien, welcome, and it's an honor to have you. Before we get started, I want to do a quick poll. So, Renil, if you don't mind, we're going to show this poll to everybody. Just take a minute to answer it, and then that will kind of be the input to Damien when he starts off his talk.
Absolutely.
Go for it, Renil.
Yeah. All right. So, to the audience, you should be able to see the poll on your screen right now. Please do click what you feel is the appropriate answer.
Wow. Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's why they're attending your talk, Damien. Are you seeing it on your screen as well, Damien?
No, I can't see. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can only see the question. I can't see anybody or any results.
Oh, you can't see that. Wonder why?
No, I can only see
you know why?
and
I'll tell you what. Because you went out, you're not the co-host. Now you should be able to see it.
Ah, there you go. Yes. Wow. Okay, that's fabulous.
That's why. By the way, it's 100% say that it's very important. By the way, to the question, that's quite amazing, and no wonder all the people over here are interested in, listening to you.
Well, we should test that 100% as I talk, because it's how far you're willing to go then with them making decisions.
Yeah. Okay. So Damien, that's a good way to start. I mean, I think folks are very, very keen to listen to you now. So you can go give us the kind of introduction, go through your thoughts, especially the concept behind these self-managed teams. And after that, we'll have a chat. I have a few questions for you, and then we'll open up to the audience as well.
Okay, brilliant.
I'm going to go on mute. Yeah, you can. You want to put up your slide deck?
Yeah, please. Yeah, that's right. Do that now.
Yeah, I'm going to go on mute and my video and audio. Okay?
Right. So, can you see my screen? Can you see slides?
Yes.
And I think I've got to stay on this way the slides being presented just for the next video. So I'll put it onto the big screen after the video. But hello everybody, and thank you for joining me. Reynolds obviously already introduced me to you all. Hopefully my internet connection stays good for you. I'm sure MD and Renner will let me know. If not, we can pause and do something about that. So please do shout up if it's not working. As Renner said, I've been kind of reporting to the board of E.ON since I was 29, actually. So I was quite early in my career, part of an exec team and part of sub-boards and boards of businesses. So I've been, believe it or not, I'm 47 right now. I know I look 32, but I'm 47. And so I've been 18 years as a senior leader of an organisation, and I've led way over thousands of people. I've led over 10, 15,000 people in that time, and it's been a privilege. And I say led and not managed. I think when I first started out leading people, I had a very good opportunity at the age of 16, 17 to have a fantastic manager in a retail store in the UK that I worked at as a student on my Saturday job and that kind of thing, who was one of those people who he was well respected in it's John Lewis. It's a really well known, very nice department store in the UK, and he was well respected. Mr. Holloway Vine, I still don't know his first name after all these years, and he was one of those people that rolled his sleeves up and he would get on his knees and start pricing goods and whatever else. And to me, that's what a leader is all about. A leader was all about walking the talk, was all about mucking in, as we say, so getting involved where it's needed. And it was all about, not about status, but was about making sure he created the right environment for all of the people he led to succeed. And that Damien Kirk at 16 years of age has never forgotten Mr. Holloway Vine. That kind of, without knowing it at the time, that kind of has been a continued inspiration for me in the way I've led people. And what you're seeing today, as I go through these slides, is a culmination of 18 years of creating what I would say is a bag of tricks. And it's only in the past probably 5 years that I've learnt that bag of tricks is kind of one bag, and I call it Ways of Working 100. And it's only the last few years I've named it that, I've badged it, and I've realised myself that when I bring all these things together, they're quite powerful. When I operate one at a time, yeah, they're great, and you can go really deep on something, but a lot of it doesn't make sense to all businesses to do deeply. It's good to take bits of lots of things relevant to your business and weight them as needed, depending on the need at the time and where you're heading. And so, 18 years of leading people. As Reynolds said, I've led people in specialist functions like IT for 12, 14 years, and I've been all over running the E.ON UK business for the last, 12 years. And so right now I've got 4,500 people across in-house resources and across outsourced providers, our partners, and it's roughly a 50-50 split in terms of the FTE numbers, that kind of thing, the people numbers. And I'm trying to, in this new role that I've only had 4 months, I'm now trying to roll this out, which I did in my old job as well, trying to roll this out across the globe. And those providers are in the UK, South Africa, India, and the Philippines. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to pause, and I'm going to play a video that I understand a number of you may have seen. So I sent all this in advance, but I'm going to play it again. This video was the video I started thinking about my bag of tricks in May 2018 with my team at the time. And in November 2018, I found this video, and it kind of explained the badge of what I was talking about for that bag of tricks. So I'll just go and press play now, okay? Let me hopefully play. Oh, you know, I haven't done shared sound. Bear me a second. Sorry, MD, I failed on your first test. Give me a second.
No issues. You just need to play the sound through Zoom. That's all
yeah,
right.
I need to hit the button. Sorry. Failed straight away. Right. Can you see my screen again, MD?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Can...
This should play. Hopefully. Bear with a second. Ooh. Everything's running slower. Ah, it's moved. Hang on. Right. Sorry, everybody. Apologies. This is the global phenomenon of the pandemic. Right. Oh no. Renel, can you play it at all?
Damien, maybe we can just skip this if that's okay, because I think half the folks, at least the initial poll, said that they'd seen it. So maybe we can just show the your slides a little bit and get on with it.
Yeah, no worries, that's fine. Let's get to the next slide. Sorry, everybody, that worked in practice, and I think I've got a problem with my internet connection at the minute. Apologies, it would happen on this call. So that video itself was from 1994. So what I'm talking about today is nothing new. I'm not claiming rocket science or this is a brand new thinking at all. What I'm talking about is common sense. What I'm talking about are three traits really that I've been trying to bring back into certainly the corporate organization that I work in, and that is trust, respect, and treat everything with good intent. So those kind of things, and also bring about, we hire adults into our organization, and so let's treat people as adults, and let's and expect people to behave as adults, and also professionally in a professional organization. So it's just really being very common sense, very quite direct actually, and very honest in the organization we want to create. And that video, that if who hasn't seen it, I recommend watching it. It talks about this guy in 1994 going into a bank and doing a similar thing to what MD does and whatever, supporting businesses with their customer service. And on their wall, they had 100-0 written on their wall. And on that wall was, it basically talks about what does it mean. And it's basically about 100%, everybody, colleagues, take 100% responsibility for themselves and their customers with 0 excuses. Okay, so that's 100-0. That's the whole meaning of it, where when you're at home as an adult, you take responsibility for your children, for your mortgage, your rent, buying goods, whatever. So the whole point is that I just want you to come into work as yourself, like you would be at home, and take responsibility. So what we did was we put some what I call mantras. You could call them values, but we had already very big organizational values in E.ON. We're part of a big German utility company that has its own values. So I didn't want to confuse people and try and complicate things. I called them mantras. And this is all about how we behave and what does 100-0 mean. And these mantras were split into 4 things. They're all positive actually, even though you can read the bottom right one. I will explain that to you in a second, the 4th one. The first one is all about customer. It's all about...
Sorry, Damien, are you sharing the deck right now? Because we can't see it.
Oh my gosh, right, okay. This isn't going too well, is it, MD? We practically did share it. Yeah, let me have another go. Yeah. Well done.
Yeah.
Right.
It's coming up now.
That's sharing?
Yep, there you go.
Sorry, MD, well done. I can't see what I'm sharing or not sharing. Right, there we go. I can tell now. That's it. Apologies, everybody, again. That's 2 things. 3 strikes and I'm out. So on these are the mantras, 100-0. The top left one is about customer. And it's probably what you guys all know about already. Again, it's nothing new. It's all about making sure that we work, all of us, in the interest of our customer. We make decisions in the interest of our customer. and we take responsibility as individuals for our customers. So in my world, running a large customer operation, we've got different phone lines, and a customer may call one phone line, but they should have called another one, right? Now, if someone answers it, in the past, they would have either transferred that customer, or even worse, told them to give them the number to call a different number, which is just terrible experience. What we've got, and also we've taken away from them things like, even though they can do the job, because it's not their job today, we've taken away from them things like the right tools or the right system access to do that job. So even if they wanted to help that customer and they had the skills to do it, they still couldn't do it, right? So this bit is about saying, we will give you the relevant training, the right tools to do your job, the right access to do your job. And if you get a customer that's not necessarily directly your job, but you can help them, you help them, right? And then internally, we will sort out why that customer called you. Are we missing something? Is the phone lines working properly, or the comms working properly? But what we don't do is sort it out by giving it the customer as a problem. So, and this is all about, and if we've got certain areas that are busy, we roll our sleeves up and muck in, basically. We all get involved as required. So a good example of that is in the retail businesses. I don't know about you in India, but in UK, a lot of our retail stores that are on the high street, where they're quite big stores, and they're over the United Kingdom, and they have head offices in cities and things. Around Christmas time, what they do is, because they've got a lot of shelf filling to do, they're a lot busier at Christmas. A lot of the companies make their head office staff go and work in the shops, and they'll go and fill shelves. They'll go and help on the tills and take payments for things. And that does two things. One is it saves the company money from hiring lots and lots more temporary people in just for Christmas, whilst the head office staff sit there probably less busy because it's Christmas time. And it also brings the head office into the stores for them to get a real good feel about the decisions they're making on the ground level, basically. So I don't believe in hierarchies. I don't believe in, because I'm a director of business, I'm not any higher or senior or better than anybody else. I've just got a broader accountability, a different accountability. And that's kind of what some of the shops do, the retail shops do in the UK. The second one is believe in us. And I actually come from a position of people first, customers second, equals performance. That's one of my other kind of mantras. And this is all about, we've got to believe in each other. We've got to trust each other. We've got to treat things with good intent. We've got to put things in place to train each other. And we want to develop people to stay within our organisation and to continue their careers in our organisation. And we also know that times will be tough for people in life and at work, and that's fine, right? We will deal with that and we'll support you through that. I mean, COVID pandemic, that's a really good sign of a good company that can manage their people really well throughout the last year. And I know E.ON's certainly done that, and we've been done more than we should do, or should do more than many other organisations have done. But this is all about believing in your people and give them the space and time they need to be themselves, to develop and give them opportunities. Dare to disrupt in the bottom left. This is what I'm all about. I'm known for this in E.ON. This is all about just challenging the norm. So this could be, anyone can do this anytime. This is about, particularly on the ground, the guys that are dealing with customers day in, day out. If you actually listen to them, they've got some really, really good things to say, and they've got some really good ideas to change and improve things. The problem is, in triangle hierarchical structures, those managers think they've got better ideas, and we think they've got a better way of executing them as well. And it's not true. It's not true at all, right? So this is about getting everyone's equal. Everyone can disrupt the norm. If there are things in place that are blockers, or I call it stupid, basically, really, really common sense language, well, let's just challenge it and stop it while we're doing it, all right? And I will give some examples of these as we go through soon. This is about just disrupting the business all of the time. Just keep changing things all the time. And even if things weren't right to do 6 or 12 months ago, that might be right now to do them. So don't also let things go. And then the final one is facing into the fact that as an organisation, E.ON definitely have done this over the years, and I'm sure all of us are guilty of this, and I was part of it in my early years. We create policies and procedures and things that are based on, I just use a generic number, 1% of our organisation you don't want in your organisation, 99% you do. But we create policies that block the 99% of people being free and trusted, because the 1% do things wrong. So we put a policy in place that makes sure that everyone doesn't do what that 1% are going to do, right? And my view is, so we put standards in place years ago that said to people what you can and can't eat at your desk, hot and cold food, what shoes you must wear, what clothes you must wear to work. Long list of bullet points of standards. And when I picked up all this, I just ripped it up and threw it away. And I said, you're adults, you're working for a corporate business. If you want to be silly and turn to work in inappropriate clothes, I'll send you home. If you keep doing it, I'll sack you, right? And it's just about having a very honest, transparent leadership kind of a business, what you expect. But if you read the words of this one, it's about, we have common sense, we've got common sense, so we use it. We've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we listen more than we talk, and we choose our attitude and make it a good one that we turn to work in. This goes down really well across all the masses, I can tell you now. Even my trade unions, which we're quite trade union heavy in the UK, my trade union population, they even, for the first time ever, went onto LinkedIn and they made a comment about this ways of working model, how they fully support it. They did that off their own back on LinkedIn, talking about at Damien Kirk. Really appreciate the honesty, because they don't want Muppets either, because they have to deal with it as well. And so this is about just dealing with the probably 0.1% of people that are lazy and incompetent and I don't want in my business, right? But it's not about people that need our support, have got illnesses or anything like that, yeah, or need training, coaching, whatever. It's not about any of that. So these are the mantras about people, customer, disruption, and getting people out of your business that you don't want in it. Hopefully that's simple enough. Renal, I can't see any question. Anyone can ask any questions at any time, no problem, or put them in the chat, and Renal will manage it, I'm sure. So please do. I'll keep going until we see anything. I can't see anything, Renal. Not even.
Actually, there is a question, Damien.
Yeah.
Can I just stop? Yeah. So let me ask. This is from Ben Jones. He's posted it in our Q&A. So he says, love this topic, Damien. It really resonates with me. I have, however, seen it work well, and I've also seen it fail. The common denominator to the success are that everyone in the organization, top to bottom, are all in quotes, in a world where there will always be supporters and detractors, and even worse, those who pay lip service to being a supporter. What is your approach in ensuring everyone is, again, in quotes, all in?
Right, so a couple of things, but that's a great question, and I get asked this all the time. Okay, so my wife says to me, first of all, about success, just be successful. You can't argue with success, right? It's one of her lines, right? So when this is part of my leadership style. It has been for years, as I say, but I didn't realise until 2018 that it was this 100-0 badge. When I started looking at this, I didn't involve the board or anything like that. I've always reported to the board, but I just started going at it first. And you've got to hold your nerve. That's one of the things. You've got to be prepared to have conflicts and confrontation, which I've had a lot of in 2018, and I don't so much nowadays. I've got the whole board behind me now. You've got to believe it. You've got to believe in it yourself and be willing to put you and your role on the line. Okay, because this is my belief system. This is what I'm passionate about. And if E.ON, ultimately, when I showed success of this and E.ON wasn't interested in it, then I was willing to leave E.ON, I'm honest. So it's about demonstrating for me that that it is the right thing to do. It's about people leadership first, not customers. as much as customers are important, you're only going to get them and keep them if you've got the right people, right? So it's about people first. What I did have fairly quickly into this was the HR director, Chris Norbury, was massively behind this, 100%, very, very quickly into understanding it. So I did have a board director very, very quickly behind me. And then my current boss, Michael French, joined me 2 weeks before I was going to launch this big time across 1,000 people. And he came in and he'd heard of it. And he'd been to visit ING Insurance, who had rolled this kind of model out globally across 52,000 people. So he had heard of it and he took it to the SE board as a generic conversation. So he came in not fully understanding it. He was honest about that, but he was supportive of the concept. So he let me run with it. I was going to do it anyway because I'm that kind of person, dare to disrupt. But you've got to hold your nerve. I think you've got to manage three things here. When you're in a corporate business, you've got to have quick wins. You've got to respect you're changing something massive. So corporate business, they're likely to tick boxes. Well, respect that. Make sure you're ticking your boxes. Then you get the space to do everything else. And then you can change those tick boxes in time. But don't think you can change them from the outset because not everyone will believe in you or what you're doing, right? So what I did was manage the tick boxes, manage my external stakeholders and my board members until I started getting success. And then when I started getting success, I could start tackling each of the board members, each of my exec colleagues, and then we started to roll it out broader and broader. So in the last year, the whole board has signed off a new business for E.ON. So the business job I'm in now, we are closing this bit down. We're opening a brand new business called E.ON Next. And that business is all based on ways of working, right? It's all based on this. We're insourcing stuff. We are literally basing all around this. And the whole board is literally closing down the old business and opening up a new one because it's the easiest way to do it. So it took me about 18 months, and I'll say painful at times, but I hold my nerve and I failed at things and I admitted it. I was dead transparent, but I was also successful at things. And I did things in the short space of time. I had things for the medium term to keep the hook going, and then I had the root cause stuff going on that took longer over time. So, so it's about, I mean, you got to believe it. You got to be willing to put yourself on the line for it, if I'm honest.
So Damien, did you actually, I know you're going to probably talk about squads and tribes and all that a little later, but did you actually build that within your team first? Because for this to be effective across the organization, you need to be able to build this across departments and all that. So did you build it within your team to demonstrate to your bosses?
Yes,
before?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so what I did was in May 2018, I was getting very frustrated in the first part of 2018 that I wasn't having the same success that I did in my previous job. I used to run a business that was about 700 million P&L. It had 1,000 people and 1.1 million customers. And that was the best business in the UK on every measure. I'm dead proud of it. I can prove it. I'm not some gloat or anything. I'm just dead proud of the people that got it to that. In this role, I wasn't getting, well, the previous role now, I wasn't getting the same success. And I got really frustrated. And so I got my team together and I started down this journey with them. And I actually trained them how to be an entrepreneur and how to be venture capitalists. And I put them in two groups, one entrepreneurs, one venture capitalists. And I spent 6 days, 2 days every couple of weeks. They got so frustrated with me because I had no actions coming out of these 6 days. I didn't want any actions. All I wanted was to get their brain in a different way of thinking. So then I kept giving them problems to solve as an entrepreneur or problems to solve as a venture capitalist. And how would you solve them? So when we came after those 6 days to start to look at our own business problems, I got their minds working differently about how we solve it, right? And this is what we came up with over a number of months. So I took them on a journey. We then trialed the squads and tribes and chapters concept in 3 areas of my business, and we let it run for, it was supposed to be 12 months. After 6 months, it was going so well, the rest of the population, we had about 90 people in these squads, in 3 squads out of the 1,000 people in the business. Of the 1,000 people, we rolled out ways of working, like just a mindset change. This is a mindset thing more than anything else. 95% is his mindset and attitude. 5% is the squads and tribes model. But what we found was we needed this model to really enable the mindset to really take off. And so bottom up, our advisors were demanding we turn the rest of the business into the squads and tribes concept. So because they demanded it, right, we brought forward by 3 months the rollout across the whole 1,000 people. So in 9 months, we've gone from kicking off 3 trial squads to rolling it out to 1,000 people in one big bang, because they demanded it, right? And it's gone really, really well since. And so that business, I've moved jobs 4 months ago. One of my direct reports took over that business. She's been experiencing the same problems with our IT infrastructure for the last 4 months that I've been getting in my new business. She recovers from it in days. It takes me weeks to recover from an IT issue because my organisation is such a mess. And so now I'm rolling this out in my new job, right? So does that answer your questions, MD?
Yeah. I think, yeah. Why don't you go ahead and talk about squads a little bit, and then we'll have more questions.
Let me come to this, because squads is 5% of it, and this is what I try and steer people away from the model to start off with, because most organisations go straight to structure, and then they wonder why it doesn't work. It's proven in 60 years of research now that changing a structure, the maximum benefit you can get from a change of structure is 5%. The maximum benefit you can get, right? If you change your mindsets and attitude of your people, and then they then start to change and own changes to the business, it changes significantly more and quicker. To do that, you've got to create this environment which we call psychologically safe environment. So as leaders, back to Ben's question, you've got to allow, and you've got to be comfortable with not making all the decisions, not being involved in everything, right? Letting people fail, right? And learning. And you can even see things going to fail, but let it fail, right? And that's really hard for lots of leaders to do, because we're all control freaks. Let's admit it, we're all control freaks, right? So it's a real test of us all, including me. I have to get tested on it. But the thing to do, you've got to create a psychologically safe environment where people can dare to disrupt. They don't fear failure. They don't fear change. They don't get told about these tick boxes and whatever else. They can have a go at stuff. So the first bit is creating this environment. Don't rush into a model. Squads and tribes is rubbish if you don't do any of this, right? If you just do the model change, you'll be in chaos, worse than you was before you started, right? So I've sent you this. I'm not going to go through all of this, but this is basically talking about trust, respect, good intent, adult culture, create tension. Yeah, I have a strong view that if you're not creating tension, I don't mean like people arguing with each other. I mean people challenging each other with good intent behind it. If you don't create that tension, you're never stepping over the boundaries. And I have a strong view that if you're not treading on each other's toes, how do you know you're testing everything properly? How do you know you're pushing it as far as you can? But if you can create an environment where people don't mind you treading on their toes and them tread on yours, you create a fantastic business, a really fantastic business. And that's kind of what this is all about, because it's based on trust. Yeah, it's based on respect of doing that. So you've got to put this stuff in first. These are some of the guiding principles that that we use, and things like we all face the customer. We had I don't know about your organisations, but we have cycles of like who's in charge in an organisation. Sometimes it's HR, sometimes it's finance, sometimes it's maybe IT, and other times it's the business, right? It should always be the business in charge. It should always be everybody faces the customer. If you're not, what are you doing in the organisation, right? If you're sat in finance, procurement, IT, if you're not working on behalf of the customer ultimately, what are you doing, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, any business at all, whatever business you're in, customers just want whatever they come to you for quickly, simply, easily, and to move on again. Amazon's proved that with one-click buying, yeah? They just want it to be convenient and easy, whatever it is, buying a car, buying energy, buying laptops. They want it to be simple, yeah, and easy, and just get on with the next thing, all right? I also have number 3 is really important. This is the one I use the most, right? In the business I'm in now, when I took over in September, We receive 10 million telephony calls a year. 10 million customers are calling us, basically. Some of those are obviously repeat customers, but 10 million calls a year. 40% of those customers or calls are transferred around my business. 40%, 4 million. That's just unbelievable, unbelievable. That is us moving the customer around our business to the strength, because people can't be bothered to move to the customer, basically. It's, for me, this is about saying, if a customer's calling about, in my world, to talk about their bill, I should be moving people who know about the bill to the front of the business to talk to that customer about the bill. Right? I shouldn't have to take the call and hand it off. Right? Or if you're on live chat, in my business, we're changing all this, but in my business I joined, we had live chat, and when a customer wants to complain, it then went on an email from our India partners, because we didn't trust our India partners to talk to customers. Unbelievable. And so they had to write an email to someone in the UK, it'd go in the inbox, and it'd be solved at some point. But that customer's coming on a digital channel, and I'd expect to keep them in that digital channel. But we've got a business process that moves them all over the place. And I don't even have the stats on that, right? It's just ridiculous. So for me, this is one of the critical ones, is you should move your strength as everything's appropriate and common sense, but take it in that vein to the customer. So I'm working really, really hard, and this is where the squads model will come in a minute, I'll give examples on it, working really, really hard to make sure we are transferring our customers around our business as few times as possible. There's only two scenarios I think we should do it. One is if it's an escalated complaint where the customer or us are at loggerheads and we need to change the conversation with the customer, or they want us to change it, and it needs an independent look at that complaint. So that goes to an escalated complaints tribe. Or for debt conversations where the customer owes us money and it needs to be moved into either on our behalf or the customer's behalf, it needs to move to a more specialist debt collector, more trained person that's got more tools and better training to specialize in debt or vulnerable conversations or something like that. Other than that, I should be asking why all the time on things being moved around my business. I won't go on to the fourth one, that's probably a bit more personal to our business. This is another video that I won't try and play now then, but this is I'm interested, I think you said 7 people have seen the videos. I'd be interested right now, while I've gone through psychological safety and the video, people have watched the videos, I'd be interested to just put in the chat or something, or put your hands up on how much time do you spend in your business creating a psychologically safe environment? How much time do you honestly put into it? And how important is it to you and your business? I think they're really critical questions to ask yourself. I'd be interested to hear your views and learn from it. And on this video, I'd be interested to see anyone's thoughts on the 2 videos if you've watched them as well. On this video, it's about an admiral of a nuclear submarine. And he talks about basically 100-0 and trusting his staff, apart from who presses the red button. And it isn't, it doesn't trust them to do it, it's that he wants control over that red button because he doesn't want to put the outcome of that red button on anybody else but himself. Okay, and that's admirable as well. And I'd encourage you to watch this because it explains really well that if a nuclear submarine admiral can put empowerment into his 130 submariners on his submarine to run a nuclear submarine, I'm sure most of his now businesses, like running a contact center, can give even more empowerment to our staff. Okay, so so watch the video, really, really interesting. I'm not going to go through this one. This was for your notes, really. It was just about saying, we're just giving you some words in terms of managing results and things. So I'm not going to go into that one. This is the model then. So squads and tribes are, in fact, can I do the next, I should have done it, do the next slide first, actually. I'm going to do this slide first. So this is where we went from a hierarchical triangle model to a squads tribes-based model. Many of us will be familiar with the left-hand side of this diagram. This was actually one of my direct reports, Rachel, she drew this on this pad. This is her drawing, and then we took a photo of it, and then we just used that photo as this slide. So this isn't none of our stuff's been done by consultants. It's all been done by people in my business, right? We've not had anybody to help us with this. We've done it all ourselves. And on the hierarchical side, you can see that in my world, for example, purple are metering specialists, blue are debt specialists, red are billing specialists, green are whatever, right? Okay. We operate generally in our triangle structures. We put skills together generally in most hierarchical structures, and then we put in place advisors, team managers, or whatever, team leaders, section managers, customer service managers, directors. We put in all these hierarchies, and then when that organisation is quite big, you're sitting there going, how do I communicate? How come that when I say something, the guys in red aren't getting the message properly, or it's Chinese whispers or whatever, okay? And what we're doing here is, and I can't ever get the blue person to work with the purple person because they're all too busy and that team manager can't free them up to work. When they come across to the squads model, it's all about missions. It's not about skills. It's all about missions for customers. So right now in my new business, I've worked out that 16% of my customers, out of the 10 million calls a year, 16% of them give me 6.6 million calls, right? So 16% customers, 16, give me 2/3 of my calls. So I've created a squad that's called the Engaged Callers Squad. Right, and their mission is to go and look at and start to bring in a controlled way when those customers call us in. We're going to control them. I don't know what the number is, but say it's 100 a day, whatever the squad can cope with. We've put a squad together, and they're made up of all the different colours: a complaints person, debt person, metering person, billing person. They've got a squad lead. They've got some performance people and analysts, some insight people, IT person. They're all made up. Those different colours are all in the same squad. There's only one squad lead. There's no more team managers or section managers or anything. And we've given them an idea of a mission. And then what they've done is they've wrote the mission themselves. So they now own it. They're accountable for it. They've said if they need anything else, we've put it in it. And now they've started bringing in the first 1% of those 16% of calls in the last 2 weeks into that squad. And already they've found out that the two highest reasons so far at the first 1% are customers that are ringing to pay us. Well, we have so many ways to pay in an automated or digital way that these guys don't want to use it. They want to pay us. And they're also people who are vulnerable phoning for a chat. We're like a counselling service. They're just phoning to call us. Right? And imagine the pandemic has made that worse because obviously people are spending more time on their own and that kind of thing. So that squad will run that mission. They may disband when they find more out. They may then decide themselves to disband it and create 2 other squads with other missions, or they'll get to an optimum point where there's no point spending any more time on this. We've done the majority of what we can cope with. They will decide what they do with that squad, and if they need different people in or people move out, etc. It becomes self-managing, basically. I don't need to get involved. I just go and visit them every now and again and see what's going on. Can I clear any blockers for you? I was talking to the squad lead last night on this, just saying, is there any help you need from me? Basically, while you're on it, are you getting the support you need? Right? And the answer is, yeah, I have one on it. It's great. So the difference is I've got one leader, not a manager. No one does any management. I've got the right people with the right coloured T-shirts on at the right time, and they own the mission. They decide their measures. They decide their rotas of when they work. It might be different for different customer sets, and they run it. They run it basically. Right? It's dead simple. It really is making it really simple. So when you get to,
Damien, sorry to interrupt. A quick couple of questions on that because you were on the right slide for these questions. One question has actually come from the audience, Rajesh Navanitam. He wants to know, how do you deal with poor performers?
How do I deal with poor performers? It's called coach up or coach out. Okay, so what we found in my last role, where I've done it for 2.5 years, you found that first of all, are your real muppets, as we call them. the real people that are really lazy, incompetent, and they stand out massively over here as people who just don't want any business. So we deal with those first, straight away. And my HR director has been amazing. We have changed so many policies. I got rid of somebody in 2 days, right? 2 days. I just said, no, I'm taking the risk, you're out, fired. In the UK, it would normally take me 6 to 12 months to do that, through lots of grievance meetings and everything. 2 days. And I'm really disappointed because I went for 1 day and he had to come in for the second day to be fired. So it's like I was trying for 1 day, right? And so when you go above and beyond that, though, you find most people are brilliant. Yeah, most people are brilliant. They just need help. They need support. They need training, coaching, or I don't think you've ever heard of it, but I'm also massively into strengths-based development and leadership. I'm not into weakness-based. So lots of businesses, you'll find that someone will say to you, you've been in an operational role for X years, you need to go and do strategy, right? That's weakness-based development, okay? You may not want to ever do strategy because the corporate said you've never done it, you need to go and do it. I don't work like that. I will sit there and say, you've worked in operations for years, you're fantastic at it. What are your strengths? What are your career aspirations? Well, I wouldn't mind going to be your job, Damien. Well, to do my job, these are the kind of things you need to do. And so you've got these strengths, but you need to go and build it further into these levels to get that. And I will help you with those, managing those strengths. With strengths-based leadership as well, it doesn't ignore weaknesses. It then says what you're going to do with them. So if my weakness, say, was presenting, I might then say, actually, I might, as a CEO of a business, I might go on stage at the beginning. I'll put MD on stage in the middle because he's amazing, and 3 other people, and to G everybody up and to make everybody excited and motivated. And then I'll come on at the end to say, thank you very much, what a great day we've had, right? And I'll mask my strength in different ways. Or I might bring MD in because he's brilliant at customer service experience, and I'm not very good at it, but I'm good at other things. So I'll bring MD in to help me with customer service experience. I'll mask my weakness that way. Or I might avoid it altogether, right? But what I don't do is ignore my weakness. What I do is focus on the things that give me passion, which are generally my strengths, and I bring other people in or do other things to manage strengths in other ways. That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Thanks, Damien, on that. Another question kind of related to it is also, how do you kind of figure out, plan workloads of people? Because they kind of, a billing person has a billing job, and other people have other jobs when you put together these squads. So how do you figure, and of course you put a mission around the squad as well when you construct it. So how do you or somebody figure out the right workloads and the number of resources and stuff like that?
So what we've got is, if I go into this then, so we've got, if you look at this slide now, I've got 4 tribes and squads on there, and I've got, these are what's happening now in my current business today. I've put in these 4 tribes, I've got in these 4 chapters, and I have ratios like a squad lead would typically have a ratio of 1 to 60 people. That's 1 to 60, yeah? Because they're not managing anybody, they're leading the performance of the people and the customer, right? And if they need coaching in their team, they go to the coaching chapter. If they've got a person they want to develop, or they've got problems with, like absenteeism or anything like that, they go to the people chapter and they support it. And those chapters sit across all of these areas, and they're very fluid. So if we find we've got a big intake of new starters into customer contact, the coaching chapter may pull coaches from across their chapter for the first 2 weeks into customer contact to do inductions. And it's dead fluid, you move people around, right? Planning performance, you have a performance person aligned. These people are aligned to all the tribes and squads. They will support you with planning, but where traditional planning, which is just plan every half an hour, plan everyone's toilet breaks and God knows what breaks, we got rid of all that, right? Because people get to know their customers from their missions, and they manage things end to end. So the squad themselves, working at a higher level with a performance person and the squad lead, they manage their rotas and their plans based on what they're seeing yesterday, today, what they might see tomorrow, based on the campaigns they're putting out. They manage it as one rather than being done 2. So we don't have these massively detailed plans. I don't do average handling time. I scrapped average handling time, load of rubbish, right? I'd rather have a customer on the phone for me for 25 minutes than them call me back 3 times for 10 minutes. But my AHT says 10 minutes. Well, that's rubbish because it's 30 minutes for that customer, whereas I could have done it all in 25. Yeah, AHT is rubbish. It's an average of an average of an average. I'd rather speak to a customer once for as long as I need, and that's it. I'll get a great customer satisfaction score, and then never call back. And that will bring my demand down over time. So planning, I took out, interestingly, my performance guys, when I first did this 3 years ago, the planning guys had a real problem with this, because I said, can I take out toilet breaks? Because the guys never go to toilet or get coffees when you tell them to in the plans. And they took those out, and the plans are more accurate. The plans were more accurate because they planned for Damien's good coffee break at 11:30. I didn't go till 5 to 12 because I was on the phone to a customer, but then I'm already out, the plan's already out of date, it's already gone. So they took all that out, the plan's more accurate. So sometimes detail gets in the way of reality and proper planning.
Excellent point. Thank you.
I'm conscious of time, actually. So
yeah, actually, the question. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll put this up. You can read it and ask me some questions.
Yeah, actually, the slides are available, guys. You know, I was mentioning this earlier that for all those who registered before 10 a.m. today, this deck went out. But for the others, I know a few have registered after 10 a.m. as well. An email will go out to you tomorrow with all this material.
I need to add this slide to you. I've only done this slide today because I was going to talk about some results for you. So I'll send you this slide, MD, and you can resend this one out if you want. No problem.
Okay. Before you go through this slide, there's a question here, Damien, which is, as a leader, it must take lots of energy to communicate this change. I'm sure you went through this initially. What are your hindsight tips for doing this?
You know what? You cannot, the two things actually, context, right? You've got to explain context of why you're doing something continuously. So what I mean by that is, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? The same thing loads and loads of times. Back to that same old adage that when I'm presenting today, you're going to listen to 30% of what I say, right? And I'm known for saying to my guys, if you're going to listen to 30%, listen to this next 30%, right? So I'll wake them up psychologically, right? And context is the most important thing. Engaging, don't engage through a triangle, right? Get rid of it. I've spoke to all 4,000 people. This virtual world allows you to do it. It's amazing. Even when I didn't have the virtual world, when I had 1,000 people, I would go and personally spend 2 weeks, literally clear my diary, and I would go and speak to 30 and 40 people, no word of a lie, for an hour at a time. I'd do 6 hours a day. Because if you're not engaging your people as a leader, what's your job? What are you doing? Sitting in meetings, talking about budgets? They're boring, right? Boring. I'm not doing that. I've got finance partners to do that, right? I'll have an hour on that every month. It's fine, okay? My role as a leader, not a manager, as a leader, is to create a vision, create some inspiration and motivation, and create an environment for people to work. Creating the environment, a big part of that is engaging. If I'm not engaging, what am I doing? Right, so I speak to all of my staff, including outsourced staff, right, around the globe. I've had sessions with India, South Africa, Wales, Scotland, and Philippines, right? I put a lot of energy into, I think people first, customers second. And if you don't put your energy into your people, how do you expect them to put their energy into your business? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Sure.
You can see some of the, go on, MD.
No, go ahead.
It just says on here, you can see some of the results. These are the top results. The first one is my old role. They're over a 12-month period. They aren't like taking on a week's notice or the best week. Over 12 months, we saw a 60% reduction in the raising of complaints and then the transferring of them to the escalated complaints team, because the front line either didn't need them or they dealt with them at the time. We saw a 60% reduction in absenteeism. And a lot of that was down to the fact that as managers and leaders, whatever, in the past, you can, like, you know, you've got to go to the doctors for an hour or the dentist. You go and do it, right? Because you're salaried and you're not on shifts, whatever. But for the majority of our people, they're being managed to the half an hour. And if they want to go to the dentist, they've got to book an hour off. I'm going, why? You don't. You're a manager. You don't book an hour off. Why are we not treating everyone equally? Why are you more important, right? So I don't book an hour off. I just go to the dentist. And so why do we not trust our guys to do that? So things like going to children's schools assembly or production or something, or to the dentist, we say the squads, manage it yourself, right? So you might say, actually, MD, can you cover me on my 8 o'clock early on Thursday morning while I go to the dentist? And then next time I'll cover you, right? Dead easy. And that started happening. That was the behavior we put in place in this business. And you saw that massive absenteeism reduction. It was amazing, right? And the 50% unplanned is people calling up on the day saying, I'm poorly, I can't come in. You aren't really. They've got a childcare issue that they couldn't get time off for. So they're now phoning up to say, I'm poorly or something, right? They're lying, basically, because we weren't very good at dealing with them. That's been reduced because we've said, actually, no, we'll work with you. Just be honest about it. We'll work with you, right? So you can see some of those things. In the new role, I've only been doing this for the mindset stuff. Started doing beginning of December. I've started rolling out squads and tribes as of 2 weeks ago in this new job. In 2 weeks, you can see complaints. There were an average of 10-day response times for new ins. Now 2 days already, right? That's new. So I'm giving you 2-week-old stats, but that's the kind of result I'd expect. And all I've done there is put squads in place, get rid of loads of managers. I've one squad lead, and I've pushed them to the very front of my business. And I've said, and we've integrated with our outsourcers, just working as one. We're using MS Teams to work together, so we communicate with each other. We're coaching in the squad, and I put coaches on top of it as well. And in 2 weeks, we've made that difference. That is outstanding. I'm not lying or anything. That is absolutely truth. Right? Outstanding. And you can see that reduction. So in the home moves channel, where people move house, in the last 2 weeks, we've done some changes, some of it IT changes that we thought of on a data disrupt session, some of it about process and behavior. And that whole mix has already seen a 25% reduction in the number of customers needing to call us because something hasn't happened on their home move journey when they're moving house. So
yeah, this is again quick. These are quick wins, as like you said in your.
Yeah, they really are. I'm not lying. Honestly, you can spend. You can bring I'll happily host any of you in my business virtually or anything. I cannot be there. You can speak to any of my team. They're open, and they'll tell you the good and the bad and the ugly. This is the good, right? Some things haven't worked, and that's fine. You can't work at this pace and do things. Now, I've also though I've done things like, when I came in, my advisor population, the front line, could authorise up to £15 for poor service or anything. Right? I changed that the first 3 days to £200 in UK sterling. I just literally from 15 to 200 quid. I trust you, right? And that has cut and no number keeps being used, but that's also had a 60% reduction of authorisations needing to go to a manager to authorise, which means I don't need them. I don't need the managers, right? And in my old role, I took out, when I did the model change, that took out 33% of management grades. In this role, because of the starting point, it's probably going to take about 20 to 25% out.
Yeah, you have actually wonderfully quantified managers' roles or the wastage in those roles.
There is wastage in it because they're just running around doing meetings that are most of the time waste of time. And those meetings are generally, how many times you get a meeting where someone says, let's have a meeting next week to discuss it? I sit there, well, why do you need a meeting next week? Why don't you just decide now? Just decide what you're going to do between now and then. That's different, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when I first came to this job, me and my boss, because we've worked together for the last 2 years, know each other very well. I needed about £1.7 million. We just authorised that between us and got on with it. I didn't do one email, one PowerPoint, one spreadsheet. I just got on with it because trust. I know what I'm doing, and I can authorise up to 5 million anyway. But I wanted to make sure I work with him very, very closely, and so we just work together basically. Again, no hierarchies. It's playing to his strengths, my strengths, whatever. And I've got rid of a lot of bureaucracy, access to systems, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So I should be sitting drinking coffee. I told my 4,000 people, my aim is to drink coffee until you need me. That's my aim.
or go cycling.
Or go cycling, yeah, absolutely. I'm not playing cricket, by the way. So can you not ask any questions on cricket, please? That was going to be my opening line.
I believe the game is already over. That's the message I got.
Oh, shut up. I'm not listening anymore.
Anyway, I think we are out of time as well, Damien. There's one last question from somebody in the audience, which is, Damien, are you open to being reached out after this
All
talk?
of you. Always. Yeah, I'm dead open. I think there's 16 people on the call. I've already hosted a lot of companies physically in my buildings when we could do, but I'll do anything virtually with you. Just drop me a line. I think I've linked into a few of you already, but dead open. And if it's not me, I can find somebody to support you and we'll get you in. You can speak to anybody. I'm a dead open business, dead open.
We will share your email ID on the message which goes out tomorrow, Damien, saying that you're open to being contacted, because I think some people had to drop out because I think we are kind of 7 minutes ahead. Well, let me just come on now.
Can I just leave you with a parting line? Sorry, before you close off. Sure. Can I be really, really clear? 95% of this is about mindset and attitude. 5% of it is about the model. But that model is really important to enabling that 95% to really explode, right? But most people focus on the model first and the attitude and mindset second. Wrong way around. Okay, so do it that way around and you'll have a lot more success.
Yeah, that message is loud and clear. Fantastic. Damien, this was fantastic. And thank you for sharing. In fact, you are probably the first, in fact, you are definitely the first speaker we've had 15 such events this far, and you're the first one to share all the material before the talk. And the good news was at least 50% of our audience, saw that before they joined this meeting, which again is a new thing out here. So, well, thank you. Thank you, Damien. And I know Peter Massey is the one who connected us. So thank you, Peter, if you're still on the call. Thank you once again. Fascinating talk. We'll, as I said, we'll share the material with you again tomorrow. And thank you to Freshworks as well for supporting this event. With that, let me hand over to Renal.
Right. Thank you, MD. Thank you, Damien. Yes, that was a pretty engaging and insightful session, one of the best I've been so far. So thank you for that. Thanks to the audience as well. If you do have questions, please do share with CCOF and we'd be happy to connect you with Damien, etc. From Freshworks, we're happy to partner. And just on an ending note, we have another session coming up next month, which is the 25th of March, same time as always, 7:30. And you will soon get an email from CCOF on who the speaker is and other details. All right, with that, thank you everybody for joining in on a Thursday evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.